Welcome to Collegial Conversations with your host, President of Intent Clinical, Diana Clark.
Hi, and welcome to Collegial Conversations. Continuing our thread of working with complex kids, we're talking with Elaine Taylor-Klaus, who is a pioneer in parenting coaching and co-founder of Impact Parents. That is a leading resource for families raising complex kids with ADHD, anxiety, and executive function challenges. Her work empowers parents to coach, not correct, and I love that line, their kids to create calmer, more connected family systems. Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you. It's delightful to be here.
Thank you. So what I want to know is whenever I have somebody who started their own practice, their own thing, what compelled you? Because it's an exercise in complete optimism or something else. What
You,
compelled you to start
I-
Impact Parents?
you can't do what we do and not feel hopeful. It's true.
Right.
I think like a lot of people in my realm, I like to say that motherhood is the necessity of invention. And, you know,
Yes,
I
it is.
I do what I do because when I was a young mom of young kids, I needed a kind of support that wasn't available then. It is now, but it wasn't then. And I found that there was a lot of support available for my kids. I have three complex kids, now thriving young adults, but at the time they were very complicated, three under the age of 10, and with about 10 diagnoses amongst them. And and I there was a lot of support for them, and there was nothing for me as a parent. Other than those 5 minutes with my hand on the door, walking out of one of their therapy sessions, there was nothing really available for me. Or if I happened to be available on Tuesday night to drive across town once a month to some support group that may or may not have been led by a professional, there just was not a lot of resource for me. And I didn't need, at some point along the journey, I didn't need therapy. I needed a Sherpa.
I get that. I get
And
that. You
yeah,
also needed the reassurance that what you did actually made a difference. I think we are so busy as parents trying to correct them that we're not really holding ourselves in the mirror and going, "How do I correct me?"
yeah. How do I show up? How do I be with all of this complexity in a way that creates the environment at home that's going to set it up for these kids to thrive? And the full disclosure is for the first 10 years, I didn't do a very good job.
So,
I really
I
didn't.
don't know if I believe that, but what would a not good job look like before we talk about what a good job would look like?
Well, so I was an anxious mess. Really, really anxious. I was very attached to their performance was somehow a reflection of me as a parent. I was not yet diagnosed. My husband was quite dysregulated, so he was angry a lot, and so I was over functioning for him, and also trying to overcompensate for if he was going to be tough, then I was going to be more permissive. I mean, there were so many ways in which I had this vision of how I wanted it to be. I just didn't know how to get from here to there.
Mhm.
And the tools that were available to me, traditional parenting paradigms, were not working for my complex kids. And they just made me feel more like a failure.
Mhm.
And they left me feeling like either there was something really wrong with me or really wrong with them. Neither of
It's
which was
scary, which
yeah, it
was
was very
scary.
scary, and it wasn't constructive. I mean, it wasn't helping me, and I would do what the experts would tell me to do, and it didn't work,
It
and
was
that just
all about focusing on them, right?
yeah, yeah,
I've
it was
always talked about this idea that if this is a family, and I use this in the context of substance use disorders, if this is a family and you send Joe Jr. off to treatment and these other four don't change, Joe Jr. comes right back into that same
right,
hand,
right,
same hand. We've got
yeah,
to make change hospitable.
yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. When I first started doing this work, the first program I ever created was called Fresh Air, and it was designed specifically for parents in special needs schools. Because that's what I found is the kids would go into these programs, they would start to grow and develop and learn compensatory skills and get accommodations that they needed, and then they'd go back home and the parents hadn't changed. And so the kids would revert back to where they were because there
In
was
about 24 hours,
yes,
very quickly, not like
every weekend.
months.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So that's what started me here is that I needed something that I didn't find. And then I kind of got lucky, I think, because I was on my way back to go join you and get a PhD and become a therapist and support parents because I knew the parents needed it. And I was already doing some community service work around public education for parents and providers. And I couldn't find a program that met my schedule with 3 small kids.
Mm,
And so a colleague, a woman named Sherry Pruitt, she wrote Taming the Tiger, suggested to me, why don't you go get a coach certification and some ADHD certification first and just do that first. And the truth is my plan had always been to do it as a stopgap. But when I got the very first afternoon of my first coaching training, I called my husband in tears and I said, I found it. This is it. This is what I've been looking for. I had been a yoga teacher before this. So that was probably the first stage of my journey was yoga. And I now can tell you that I think of coaching as the verbalization of yoga in many ways. It's about
stretch
presence.
that out a minute. Tell me how it is. Yeah.
Well, so it's about presence.
Mhm.
Right? It's about empowerment. It's about seeing possibility. It's about letting go of attachment. There are very, very many ways in which what it means to embody a yoga presence, because yoga is not just poses, right? Is very similar to what it means to embody a coaching presence. And so when I didn't know that at the time, I just found something that was forward focused, empowerment based, strength based, positive, hopeful to the earlier conversation that had me focusing. It was very much when I was pregnant and having kids, I used midwives instead of doctors to
Mhm.
deliver my babies. This was in the 90s before that was kind of a thing. And because when you're working with a midwife, you go in and you do your own labs and you check your own weight and you fill in your own forms. You're not sick. You're not broken. It's not pathologized. You're treated as well. And you're a partner in your care,
Sure.
right? It's collaborative. And coaching was a way in which I could be a partner in the process of problem solving, a collaborative partner. And I see it as a collaborative problem solving model. And
Yes.
so it just fit who I am and how I believe in the world, and so I really did. I have never before or since felt such a sense of calling. Like, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. By this point, I'm in my 40s, and it was clear, so I kinda dove in and drank the Kool-Aid and did every certification and all the leadership training and everything that I could do, and, here I am now many years later, a master certified coach, and there aren't that many of us. But
No.
I took it very seriously. It was my version of a PhD.
Mhm. Mhm. And then you took that education and all those certifications and really crafted your own model in some ways, correct?
Yeah, yeah, we did. But it wasn't it was I now know we innovated a modality. I
Right.
didn't know that at the
You
time.
didn't
I
know
thought
it
we
at the
were
time. Yeah.
no, we thought we were just kind of teaching a classic coaching modality. And the truth is that what happened, I met my business partner, Diane Dempster. She had a similar experience to mine, which was when I became a coach, I became a significantly better parent. And it wasn't rocket science. And it wasn't about coaching my kids. It was about being coach-like, bringing that presence. And, um, and so we started to look at what are the tools, what's the modality, what's the technique? And we created what we thought was just a classic coaching model that we could teach to other parents and providers, very simply. What I now understand is that because of our experiences with complex kids, we integrated neurodiversity into the model in a way which is not typically integrated in most either therapeutic or coaching models.
Mhm.
And so we blended neurodiversity into it. So we incorporated executive function. We incorporated emotion regulation. We incorporated motivation, intentions, structures, all kinds of nuanced pieces that I now understand are fundamental to managing neurodiversity and all humans, actually, all brains, works for everybody. But it was the one piece the coaching model and I think therapeutic models are often missing,
Mhm.
which is how do you bring an understanding of executive function and emotion regulation into a process of change management?
Okay, so let me give you a gritty example. It just snowed up here. I'm looking out at beautiful white, I call it fluff snow. And I'm imagining all of those households in my area where the 15-year-old kid gets the message from mom, go shovel the deck. That may be okay for 2 of those 5 kids who would get asked, right? But the other 3 are you know, there are 7.
Number rises, yeah.
Yeah, the number rises. For the number of the other kids with any kind of neurodiverse challenge or complex, what would be a better way of approaching that very same desire on the part of the parent?
It's a great scenario and a great question, and I wanna start by saying you wouldn't start in that moment.
Right.
So, the work of setting the family up for success in that dynamic starts way before that, because it starts with the parent understanding what's going on for the child, really understanding the kid well enough to help the kid understand themselves well enough. It's the parent understanding themselves and what they're bringing to the dynamic. So that you be so it starts with creating a team, a sense of a team in the family dynamic, so that
Mhm.
we're all working together. So one of the things that needs to happen for us as a family to get in and out of the house and to eat in the next few days is for that walk to be shoveled, right? And I understand maybe my 15-year-old son that you don't wanna do it. I don't blame you. I wouldn't wanna do it if I were you. And I understand that it's cold or you got sensory stuff going on that makes it uncomfortable, or there are a lot of things that might be at play that are conversations that we would have already had by the time I get to that moment when the snow is falling and the fluff is on the ground. So that then I could go to my 15-year-old and say, "Hey, buddy, I know that you don't really that you're in the middle of something. Here's the good news. The good news is you're probably not gonna have school tomorrow. Bad news is we gotta be able to get out to go to the store. Can we have a conversation about getting this what it's gonna take to get this walk shoveled? Because it's gonna be either you or me, and you probably don't really want me to be the one doing it."
Mhm.
Something like that. Do you hear how it's
Co
collaborative? We're sharing it's a shared agenda,
And
right?
it's not coming down on high. You have to shovel the walk. It is, we have to get out of here.
Ah, yeah, what's in it for you? And I know you wanna be able to go over to see your friends, and I know that you can probably schlep across the lawn, but you probably don't wanna run the risk of me falling when I go like, and I'm using that as an example because
No, that's
that would
great.
motivate
Yeah.
my kid. It might not motivate my nephew. He might be motivated by, you wanna be able to get your car out, or you want me to be able to go, get the fixings for s'mores and apple cider. Like, everybody's got their motivation, but instead of directing, which is it's pointed to, we wanna move into collaboration, and then once we get to a place where we're kinda sharing the agenda, eventually you move to a place where now they're taking the agenda and we move into, like, a support role, right? So I know it's by this point, it's already the agreement is it's his job to do the lawn, to do the walk. Then it's about how can I support you in it? When's a good time for you? What do you need from me to help you? Would you like some hot chocolate when you come in? Like, how can I be your roadie in your job, which is very different from you have to.
To do that. I love that. I think so much is how much frustration parents bring to that conversation, right? They're already prepared for, "No, I don't want to," right?
And they don't want to. And can you blame them?
No.
And if you start with the assumption that they should because you're asking them to, or because it's responsible, or because it's the right thing, or, if all of those shoulds are going to shut everybody down, we're going to should all over ourselves, right? But if we invite it and request it reasonably and respectfully, especially with a 15-year-old. Now, a 5-year-old's a little different, but a 15-year-old's a separate autonomous human being. And when we forget to treat them like that, they resist treating us like that.
Mhm.
So if we
No,
want that,
right, we want mutual respect in that arrangement. That you we don't want them walking in saying, "I want $5 and I want it now."
right,
Not telling us why, and not telling us what for, and not telling us why it's gotta be now.
or what's in it for us to give them the $5,
Us
right?
the
Yeah. The
$5, right?
question we ask parents all the time is whose agenda is it? If the and when if the answer is, "Well, it's my agenda," then and which is fine, it might be, then what's it gonna take to get some buy-in? To get some
Right? It's your agenda.
to
What do you
share
need
that
to get
agenda.
back? Yeah, that's great. That's great. What didn't I ask you today for our cup of coffee? What didn't I ask?
Wow, so many. I guess one of the things that comes up is what age
I was
kids
yeah.
this
What
were. Yeah, and when we started, we used to say we work with parents of kids 4 to 40. And I know it sounds crazy to think that the same tools you use for a 4-year-old would work for a 14-year-old and a 24-year-old and a 34-year-old, but it's true, and that's because it's not about them, it's about us.
about the presence of us. I love that. And maybe even 50 and beyond. I can still hear
Yeah.
myself. I can go visit my mother, and within 24 hours, I can hear myself say, "Whatever." 24
It's
hours, that's all it
it's
takes.
true, it's true. No, it because it's really not about the parent-child dynamic, it's about human dynamics and about communication and relationships and being in relationship. And when we recognize that our goal as parents, yes, it's to get them through, and yes, it's to set them up for success in their life. But we really do this because we want to be in a lifetime relationship with them. We want to enjoy that lifetime
Really
relationship.
enjoy it. Some of us are gonna have it anyway, but I wanna be able to enjoy.
Yeah, we want to be in that relationship, and we want them to want to be in relationship with us.
I think you bring a really powerful point in this age of estrangement and no talk relationships between parents and kids. This is a really important message. We want them to be in relationship with us as well.
Yeah, we really do, and we can cultivate that, or we can crush that. That's up to us. That's what we don't have control of what happens, but we have a lot of control about how we respond to what happens, and that will cultivate or crush a relationship.
Beautiful. All right, let's quit on that note. That was powerful. Thank you all for listening and watching A Collegial Conversation. If you happen to like this episode, please do so on your platform of choice. Bye.